So I have here a piece of relatively green poplar, and if I was going to carve with my knife, I always try and carve away. I don't carve towards myself. Knife is incredibly sharp. So before I go to use my knife as a tool, the rule is 2 arm widths and a tool length away. Because I would usually use my knife when I am either sitting or kneeling on the ground, there's another thing that I would make sure that people know, and that is before I use my blade to kind of keep in mind the blood triangle, which is on either leg I have 2 femoral arteries, and so if I'm careless and I don't know where my blade is going, it would be a possibility that I could have an accident and that could result in a fairly extensive injury. So when I'm going to use my knife, what I'm going to do here is just take the sheath off my knife, and I'm going to carve away from myself. So what I'm going to do, there's 2 ways that you can do this. I've used both. Both of them work relatively well. The first is if I bend my elbow and I make a pass like this. And so I bend my elbow and bring the knife forwards and back. Although this does work, what can happen is your hand can cramp, and because it's kind of an ineffective use of force, what might be better is instead of bending my arm like this and coming down the length, what I can do is I can keep my arm relatively stiff. Well, not so, I mean stiff, but and instead of bending my elbow, I can shrug my shoulder and go down like that. So let me just find a spot here and go down like this. And what happens is I can take small amounts off, and if I change my angle, what I can do as I get better at it is I can take larger amounts off. This is the method that we use to create our curly sticks for tinder, which works incredibly well. So you can see, just if I change the angle of my knife, I get a really nice curl of very thin wood. And as long as I tilt my knife in towards like this, the curl will stay. And then if I had a smaller diameter stick, I could use that as my tinder for lighting a fire. Ferro rod is amazing. This knife has actually been modified a little bit. The back has been ground down to give me a straight surface for my ferro rod, and that's something that I would think about doing for other knives. It's such a handy tool, and it's something that I always have with me, that might be a really good way of doing it. If I were to walk with my knife, the sheath is on, of course, and it comes down by my side. If I were to stand, this is where it is. It's not up here where the sheath could get knocked off and then the blade is open. If I were to walk, again, it's down by my side.